So I see a lot of people here in the room, and I bet a lot of online are very interested to understand what are the essential steps in building a very good security operational center. So it's just successful and optimized. So regarding that, please help me welcome our first speaker of this session, the Program Director of Cybersecurity at eGovernance Academy, Merle Maigre, please.
Very nice. For starters, I'd like to say that I firmly believe that it is development cooperation that, amongst other factors, also has a significant role on cyber capability building and increasing cybersecurity internationally. The eGovernance Academy, where I'm coming from in Estonia, is an independent, non-profit, mission-based organization that has been acting as an implementer of international development cooperation projects in digital transformation in over 130 countries since 2002. We believe that the idea that cybersecurity should be part of that digital transformation assistance has firmly guided us over the last decade. So I'm the program director, and as the program director of cybersecurity at the eGovernance Academy, it is my role to keep up a team that is assisting to provide the beneficiary governments with cybersecurity, within input and knowledge about cybersecurity governance, policy, and institution building. Then also advice and assistance on cybersecurity legal framework. More recently, that's focusing in the EU neighborhood and including Ukraine on advice and sharing best practice about the compliance with EU NIS directive. We are also providing assistance with helping to strengthen the critical information infrastructure protection, including in Ukraine with a new project that we have recently kickstarted, and then providing cybersecurity equipment and tools, as well as practical hands-on technical trainings and exercises for building the capacities and operational capabilities of CERTs and SOCs. And I should have had that slide to illustrate it all. As a practical example, our team is currently supporting the cyber capacity building in Georgia, in Moldova. A lot of activity and effort goes into Ukraine and also the Western Balkans. So I'm here today in this future innovation session to share some hopefully useful experience that can be applied to building security operation centers. From empowering the SOCs to carry out basic functions to growing your own SOC, so to say. That is growing quality staff, prioritizing that, growing quality staff that really knows how to prioritize incident response, knows how to engage with stakeholders and communities. So why care about this subject? Ultimately, I mean, this is basic for you, but it's useful to underline that ensuring the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of the modern digital enterprise is a big job. It covers many parallel and related efforts, from robust systems engineering to effective cybersecurity policy and comprehensive workforce training. And one essential element in all this is cybersecurity operations. Monitoring, analyzing, responding to, and recovering from all different measures of cyber attacks. The operational focal point for incident detection, analysis, And response, as you all know, is the cybersecurity operation centers, CSOCs or SOCs. Virtually all, maybe most, large and medium-sized organizations today have some form of SOC, or hopefully do, or outsource those services, but they think of it. And the importance of SOC is growing as cyber becomes an increasingly indispensable to every type of organization, be it for-profit or non-profit businesses, government, or academia. Since the SOCs began rising in their prominence ever since the 90s, really several moments in computing have changed the way that SOC missions are being executed, along with the SOC's importance to an organization. While many of these aspects are quite cliches, they still are worth observing. Such as, for example, first the cybersecurity as a topic rising from near obscurity to really daily part of our news stories. Or the dissolution of organizational boundaries with the onset of both mobile and cloud computing, or the worldwide recognition of by executives across various industry verticals of the importance of cybersecurity to business operations and the integration of cybersecurity into organizational risk management calculations. We see that growingly all around. Some of the more recent developments that have impacted the role of SOCs are the COVID-19 global pandemic, causing the sudden shift to remote work or work from home, and last but not least, Russia's cyber war in Ukraine, demonstrating in practice that cyber attacks really are an extension of the military conflict. So all of that underlines the importance of this topic. What do I mean when I talk about SOCs? So that to be clear about the definitions, for me, a SOC is primarily defined by what it does. The practice of defense against unauthorized activity within the cyberspace, including monitoring, detection, and analysis, such as trend and pattern analysis, as well as response and restoration activities. Consequently, a SOC really is a team primarily composed of cybersecurity specialists organized to prevent, detect, analyze, respond to, and report on cybersecurity incidents. A typical mid-size SOC mission statement usually includes the following elements. Preventing cybersecurity incidents through proactive measures, including continuous analysis of threats, scanning for vulnerabilities, deploying coordinated countermeasures, and consulting on security policy and architecture. Then also monitoring detection and analysis of potential intrusions in real time and through adversary hunting, utilizing a variety of different security relevant data tools. Also responding to confirmed incidents by coordinating resources and directing use of timely and appropriate countermeasures, providing situational awareness and reporting on cybersecurity status incidents, and engineering and operating SOC technologies, such as host sensors, network sensors, log collection, or analysis systems. And as a sort of red line through all of this, on our experience, goes the importance of understanding the adversary. Historically, SOCs have focused their efforts on detecting an incident while the adversary was performing reconnaissance or during a direct attack. By contrast, really, to that, today, a SOC is expected to expand its situational awareness far beyond this focus. As the defender, SOC is in a constant race to maintain parity with the changing environment and threat landscape, continually feeding timely CTI, cyber threat intelligence, into SOC monitoring tools, helping to keep up with adversaries. In any given week, a SOC is likely to proceed dozens of pieces of CTI that can drive anything from sensor detection updates to emergency patching pushes, pushing emergency patching. And from experience of our work with partner nations, and particularly in Ukraine, but also in the Western Balkans, a key moment in all of this is to provide the right training to the SOC. That's becoming more essential than ever. And what's very important in this is to keep in mind that it's not enough to take a merely theoretical approach, but to keep the focus on hands-on technical trainings. Investing into hands-on practical trainings and exercises is probably the best investment one can make for cyber incident prevention and response. A good SOC needs to maintain practice, keep up their practice to maintain readiness. As one of our project mentors said about it, you need to think through your threat scenarios, find yourself a safe environment that a cyber range could provide, for example, and challenge yourself about the what if. Make mistakes in a safe environment and bring those lessons in. Practice and hunt continuously. Cyber threat hunting, that's performing proactive operations to identify the potentially malicious activity outside the scope of established SOC alerts. Hunting doesn't mean here to only look at alerts. Hunting really means developing a hypothesis, taking out a flashlight, going around in the building, looking at every closet, under every desk, and thinking, if you were them, what would you do? Where would you be hiding? How would you maintain persistence? And trying to find those places in your network, hopefully securing them up as you do. AI can also help with vulnerability disclosure here. All this is surely a big challenge, and it's not a discipline intuitive for the broader ecosystem outside the military, this exercising, but it's well worth an effort. The e-Governance Academy, together with industry partners, regularly organize various cybersecurity exercises to develop comprehensive cyber capacity skills at the technical level, and also we find them very useful to raise awareness at the managerial level about the effects that a cyber incident can bring in. Usually, these exercises last anything from a couple of hours to a few days, simulating the real-world operations of an organization under attack. Generally, the goals of our threat hunting exercises are to improve skills of participants in detection of attacks, in networks and system monitoring, in situational awareness, cyber incidents handling, and last but not least, very important, in teamwork. dividing and teamwork, which is about dividing and assigning roles under stress, delegation of tasks, and taking up the responsibility of leadership. So threat hunting exercises particularly are useful because they help the cybersecurity team to practice their skills and develop new ones. They learn how to work together effectively, how to use different tools and techniques to hunt for threats, and how to make decisions quickly and accurately. It also allows them to identify weaknesses in the systems and to develop strategies to address them. But most importantly, threat hunting exercise helps to improve the team's ability to respond to real-world cyber threats. It teaches them to be proactive rather than reactive, and so that they can prevent attacks before they happen rather than simply react to them after the fact, post factum. So generally, when organizing these exercises, or more particularly a threat hunting exercise, the effort consists of 6 different layers that are fundamental to a successful outcome. First, we involve in planning. That is the first essential steps to organize a successful exercise together with blue teams, the training audience, to define the objectives, the scope and timeline of the activity, including defining the simulated threat scenario, the assets to be protected, and the tools and techniques to be used. Then moving on to preparation, after having defined the objectives, it is important to set up the network to network systems and applications that will be used throughout the exercise. This may include creating virtual machines, configuring firewalls and intrusion detection systems, as well as installing software tools for threat hunting. The most exciting part then is the execution. At that point, the threat hunting exercise can begin. The team of threat hunters will actively search for signs of malicious activity by analyzing network traffic, system logs, other sources of data. And they will use a variety of techniques, such as anomaly detection, signature-based analysis, and behavioral analysis to identify potential risks. Moving on, the next layer is response. After identifying the threat, it is time for the team to take action to mitigate this threat. This may involve isolating affected systems, blocking malicious traffic, or just patching vulnerabilities. Then comes analysis. As the exercise process comes to an end, the team has time to analyze the data that they collected to identify different patterns and trends for understanding weaknesses within the network and inform future threat hunting exercises. The final step to wrap up the activity is to report the results to the stakeholders. The report usually includes a summary, about actions taken, and recommendations for the future improvements of the security posture. The learning objectives of the blue teams, that is the training audience, can be fostering cooperation among different actors in the community, monitoring and analysis of attacks, discovery and understanding of sophisticated patterns, attack patterns and vectors, that is about how to set up a proper monitoring, training about how to detect different kinds of attacks, collecting the indicators of compromise and encouraging the blue teams to share those IOCs with other participating teams through MISP, Malware Information Sharing Platform. The objectives also include generalization and synthesis of information about the attacks, that is, how to make reasonable input out of those attacks. It's also about validating existing cyber defense plans and procedures, making sure whether the procedures that you've prepared on paper really work on practice. That is validated when you write a situation report about what really happened during the exercise. For example, over the past four hours of a cyber incident covering, and have to put on paper what systems were attacked, what is the impact of those attacks under your organization's operations, and so on. So the reports that get written during the exercises have to reflect tactical level information that is relevant for the operational and strategic levels. For the operational and strategic level decision makers, so that those people can look at the reports, whether that includes sufficient information that the managers have to take in for quick decision making during a cyber crisis. And lastly, the objectives include stress handling and decision making under pressure, because the information in real life situation really will always remain incomplete. You never have a perfect 100% certainty about facts. It will always be incomplete, so the question is, how do you delegate tasks? How do you prepare for these real-life situations when there is not enough resources, not enough time, and not enough men or women in your team to really handle all the incidents under a crisis? So that's a good way to stress test your systems. The last part, yet very important during these exercises, is dealing with visualization and scoring. Often this part is overlooked. The focus very often is on creating a fascinating gameplay with really demanding technical solutions to entertain the blue teams. Visualization in cybersecurity exercises and trainings often is lacking. Yet it is an aspect that significantly impacts how the security teams interact with and how they communicate data. It also, a good visualization really helps the decision makers who can be brought in to an exercise to understand better, to digest the information, and to understand the exercise proceedings. Be it a user, be it an incident responder, or be it a manager, they need to really understand where things stand, and they need to be able to digest that information, which is critical to success. Visualization is most effective when it's used to put data into context, and a good visualization provides an overview of the structure and the state of the exercise environment. It also helps viewers to monitor where, in which phase of attack and response or threat hunting the exercise is. With that approach, different factors in cyber exercise, be it, as I said, defense and attack, success or failure, can be traceable and become easier to be evaluated. Evaluation and scoring, last but not least, also provides measures of effectiveness and performance. It also offers an improved understanding of the domain-specific concerns, such as network operations, forensics, threat monitoring, as well as about tasking such as data analysis, decision-making, communication to up or down, as well as the work style, be it individual or collaborative, peer-to-peer or hierarchical. So, in conclusion, organizing these kinds of practical, hands-on technical trainings and exercises from our experience really are beneficial for any organization that is in need to improve its security posture, but definitely and above all to a SOC team that needs to get itself off the ground. By conducting regular threat hunting exercises, SOCs can improve their ability to detect and respond to real-world cyber attacks, and thereby these exercises help SOCs to become future ready. So this was a look into, perhaps a narrow look into one aspect of SOC development. Happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the audience? We have a question online, though. It's not about threat hunting, but you mentioned AI can assist you in vulnerability disclosure. Can you elaborate on that? How can AI assist?
AI can help to speed up the procedures, assist in scanning, in discovering the vulnerabilities.
And another question, what from your experience are some of the main mistakes that organizations make when developing a SOC, and how can they escape these mistakes?
One of the aspects that we often are challenged with is to find the right balance between procedures, plans, and sort of like terms of references that are on paper and focusing on figuring out the rule book, so to say, and investing time into practical hands-on development of the skill set of the team. There needs to be a careful balance, and the aspect we see is often through the donor-driven assistance projects where the donors, and it's quite understandable, want to have some concrete paper trace deliverables of the assistance. But the risk there is that donors are pushing teams to focus too much on paper and less on practical skills. I'm not saying that a rule book is not important at all, but at the end of the day, when a crisis hits, the plan is not fighting, like when your house is in fire, the evacuation plan is useful, but it's about how well you practice it, how efficient your team is in putting out the fire, how good their practical skills are. So one of these challenges is that to avoid over mythicizing the rules that really, at the end of the day, when life hits, some of them you have to depend on your training activities so that things are automatic and the practical skill set of the team.
Thank you. So exercise, exercise, exercise. Thank you.
I would say so.
Any more questions from the audience? Yes, we have one.
Thank you. Excellent talk, and I love the emphasis on training and practical aspects. I had a question. Are there any tools that you could recommend? Because the tooling is really important, and in some environments also open source tools, right, to get started, because that's the fundamentals on how you get information and how you keep processing the information. So any recommendations on tools?
Well, to get going or get kicked off, I would recommend there's a rich compilation of best practices and materials that ENISA, for example, has collected, including on like the open source or like available for all materials of how to build an exercises, how to run exercises. Similarly, the UK National Cybersecurity Centre has done a tremendous job of collecting these best practices, sort of like exercise in a box format to offer to smaller organizations that can then follow the recommendations and proceed on their own. But at the end of the day, yet I would say that for anything more tailored, it is useful to have a sort of like a team to work with. Yes, tools are available, open source tools are useful. There are some online platform-based CTF opportunities and even more sophisticated trainings. But for a higher profile SOCs, particularly when thinking of Ukraine or some of the other countries' national SOCs or governmental CERT SOCs, it would be useful to have a more tailored approach. What we've also seen and what proves useful where the tooling is a useful base, but it's helpful to kind of like have a tailored approach to bring those to exercise to another level is to organize some regional exercises, which is again a yet like very practical effort to bring nations together and to test that trust base that you need when really crisis hits and you need to sort of like call up your neighbor country CERT and ask for help, or you hope that they would call you up and tell about a vulnerability that they've discovered is coming towards your way. So having been through joint exercises, to me as an Estonian resembles a little bit of having gone to sauna together, for example, with your neighbors, so that that helps this kind of like joint trust building.
So the best free tool, like collaboration, networking, that we can do as well here as well. A final question from our online audience is, who can apply for your SOC training for a new SOC team?
Ultimately, I mean, here we're open. Our activity is largely driven by different donors, donor directions, be it EU or elsewhere. That's what we're currently doing with Western Balkans and Ukraine, for example. But you're always welcome to come to the to us, and we can discuss.
So use the opportunity that Merle is here. And I think a very suitable present for a presenter who's talking about SOCs and cyber SOCs for you, and a little
Why did I choose this topic? I was hoping of getting some SOCs. Thank you.
See, this worked. Thank you so much.
Thank you.